Hey guys, it's Jude, the person who owns this channel. As you can see, I'm doing a bit of a different video today, other than my art and my other random stuff that I do. Unscripted, I'm doing a book review. I've wanted to do this review for a really long time, and I say review kind of loosely because this is going to be more of a retrospective, really, on my favourite book series of all time. I've wanted to do this for a while, so I'm glad I'm finally getting around to it. Helena, if you're watching this, I know you're like relatively active in the fan community. I love your work so much, and this is in no way a criticism. And when I am criticizing, because I will, that makes me sound horrible. It's just on like my thoughts as an older reader and an older enjoyer of the series. What my thoughts are as somebody as someone who read the books for the first time when they were 11, which is the target age range for the books, to how old I am now, which is 15, when I reread them, besides one, very recently for this review. And just how my opinions have changed on it through the years, and just how I feel about it today. Oh, my face is in the frame, let's not. So, I guess I should start. I'm going to start with the first one. I'm going to go in like chronological order of all three, because why wouldn't I? Anyway, we're going to start with the first one, A Place Called Perfect. Right off the bat, cover is probably my favourite book cover ever. And I'm going to say this is my favourite book series of all time. This is my favourite book in the series. It's not my favourite book that I own, but it's my favourite book plot-wise. I think it's incredible. I think it's brilliant. I love everything about it, and even if it was a standalone title without the other two, I wouldn't mind. I think it's still absolutely incredible. The cover this is my favourite cover out of the whole series. I love them all, but I adore this one. I adore this one. I think it looks great. The side looks great. The back looks great. One of my running jokes between like myself and like everyone else who I know who's read the books is the fact that Boy's eye colour changes like every single cover, and every time he's on the cover, like it's blue here and then it's red. I just think it's kind of funny. And then on the other one it's I think it's brown again on the other ones. Anyway, that's not important. But yeah, the covers are great on all of these, but this is absolutely my favourite one. This is going to be a really long video, by the way. I have a lot to say, because ADHD, and I am hyperfixating on these books, and I love them to death. So, plot-wise, I think this is brilliant. I remember reading it for the first time, I couldn't put it down. I finished the whole series, each book, in about a week, which, as somebody who cannot concentrate very well, is kind of a record for me, and I appreciate how well-paced these are. This book, especially, is definitely the most well-paced. I think it's really well done. After I finish reviewing all of the books individually, I will just give my overall thoughts as well. Oh, it's so good. I think the idea with the eye stuff was like probably my favourite part about this book. And I kind of wished that you had gone into that more kind of, not horror, but like weirder, more surreal aspects when we got later on, because the eye stuff and the tea stuff was probably one of my favourite mysteries about the book, which I absolutely adore, and it will keep me rereading it over and over and over again, because it never gets old somehow. There's always stuff when I reread it, I'm like, oh, I didn't remember that. So, actually, the plot is incredible. The, huge spoilers, I should have mentioned at the start, massive spoilers, whole series. Anyway. Every setting is well done. The, let me find it. Sorry, this is completely unscripted, so the map is my favourite thing ever. As somebody who has a lot of trouble visualising settings, this was absolutely the most helpful thing to me, because now I have the entire place laid out, I can imagine it in my head, and that makes me, as a reader, feel a lot more engaged, so I'm very glad that that was added, and that it's improved upon in every book, so you can see everywhere that's mentioned, which makes me very happy, because, yeah, it looks really good as well. The art in these, there's not a lot of art, but I love it. The guy who did it is incredible. This one is great, and I really like all of the characters. I like Boy, I like Violet. Boy is my favourite character by far, probably next to William and Meryl. I love Meryl. Meryl's a king, but, I do feel like, and this, actually, I'm going to mention this later. I'm going to mention the character stuff later. But one of my only gripe that I had with this book, even when I was younger and reading it, and this kind of goes for all of them, is plot twists. Like I said, obviously I'm an older reader now, but even as a younger reader, I felt like they were very guessable. The stuff about Macula being Boy's mom, I guessed immediately because of the handwriting, and I'm not sure if I was supposed to guess it immediately or if that was supposed to be a mind blown moment, because I get it. I got it instantly as soon as you saw the letter on her desk. I was like, oh, he's her mom. And then like I was like, oh yeah, William's totally his dad. I got that like snap, and I guess that one probably wasn't that difficult anyway, so that doesn't really matter. That's not really a gripe either. It didn't like lessen my enjoyment for the story. Like, even though I kind of guessed what was going to happen, I didn't guess like how it would all go down. And I thought it was really good, and I still get really happy every time Macula and Boy like get reintroduced to each other. That makes me very happy. I love Boy. I think he's great. I'm trying to think of what else I could say. Oh yeah, I even now as a 15-year-old, you might think, oh, you're a lot older now. Do you not enjoy this as much? Since it might be a little more like childish for me. And honestly, no, because there are like random dark moments here that are like, even as a kid, caught me off guard. Like, I was 11 and I'm like, oh, we're replacing people's eyes now? Count me in. And near the end, there's like, there's a scene near the end where George almost like clobbers Boy's head in with a golf club, maybe? I might be remembering things not correctly. That was dark. Also, Edward Archer has a gun at the end, I think. Cool. That was great. I liked when... I'm glad... What I liked about this one is that it wasn't taking any risks. It was just kind of going for it. And I appreciated that. As somebody who liked a lot more mature stuff at my age, I could really get into this a lot. And the characters all felt very authentic, actually, I found. I liked them all. There's not a single character in this one that I dislike. The way that the world building is done is incredible. I loved it. And I also like that it doesn't really give you a set time period as well. I thought that was nice. I don't really like having time periods in my books. I like being able to kind of make it up as I go along. But yeah, as a whole, A Place Called Perfect is incredible. I adore this one. If I do remember a random other thing that I want to say, I'll probably go back to it. Anyway, on to the second one. The Trouble with Perfect is my second favourite book in the series. And it's also brilliant. The cover on this one, once again, I love it. It hits so hard. These look really good on my shelf. I do want the other version of the covers as well, because mine are a little folded on the edges. But it doesn't, like, they're not, like, completely ruined or anything. Anyway, this one I love. I really like this one. Not as much as the other, for reasons I will get into. But as a whole, I think the plot of this one is still very, very solid when you hold it up with, like, this one. These two go together very well. And, oh, whatever, I've basically face revealed at this point. They're great. This one's great. I don't have that much negative stuff today. I don't hate any of them. I don't dislike any of them at all. I think they're all great. I just like some of them more than the others. I, once again, somehow, not really sure how, managed to guess the Tom plot twist immediately. As soon as she was like, oh my goodness, when he looks a certain way, his eyes are, like, slightly brighter blue. And I was like, oh, because William has two different coloured eyes. So Boy has a twin brother, and he's just wearing coloured contacts. And I also really like how on the cover, you cannot see it on the camera, it's Tom, it's not Boy, which is a really neat touch, actually. The townspeople are the worst. When I said I don't hate any of the characters, I was lying. I hate the townspeople because they suck. They are awful people, and they're so... Oh, they infuriate me every time. And I know there's, like, plot reasons for it most of the time, but, oh, they still infuriate me. The way they destroyed Meryl's house in this one has me seething every single time. Oh, I hate them. I was obviously not surprised to see Edward come back, but I was surprised at how nonchalantly everyone was like, oh, yes, he just saved our kids. Let's go save... We love this guy again. He definitely didn't get rid of all of our children last year. which I found slightly strange because I feel like more people would have been more skeptical because at that point they hadn't started messing with people's emotions. So I guess they're just all kind of dumb. My biggest gripe with this book, and probably like the reason why it's not actually as high as perfect, is Boy. Because, oh my goodness, he's the worst in this one. I love Boy, and every time I read this one, he makes me angry. Like, Violet saves his life. Violet and Jack save his life. They save him, and he's still angry at her for not knowing he had a twin brother. And he still doesn't believe... He's angry at her for not believing him. Why would she have anything else to go off? And I think what makes me even angrier is that she fully is, like, apologizing to him. She's like, I'm sorry, I didn't know. And he's still mad at her. They make up a little later on, and then he gets mad again. Oh, I hate him in this one so much. I get that he's angry, and I could understand having a little bit of tension there, but he's just mean. And he never... What makes me angry is that he never apologizes. As far as... If I remember, he never says sorry to her for treating her like garbage in this one. Because there's, like, this big chunk of the book after they rescue him where he's just really mean to her. And he, like, never says sorry. I'm sorry if I'm remembering that correctly, and he does. I just don't remember him doing that. Or Jack. Jack's, like, his best friend. Why doesn't he ever say sorry to Jack? Jack was the real one in these books. I think he's great. Yeah, that really confused me. I was like, dude, don't be a jerk. The pacing on this one, once again, works really well. I like the pacing. You can keep up with it so well. I like Tom. I don't love Tom. He doesn't do much in this one. But I don't dislike him or anything, but he's definitely not my personal favorite character or anything in this one or the next one. But he does his job. He works. I write a lot of, like, fan fiction and stuff in my spare time, so I like to improve upon Tom's character myself, just because I feel like he was always lacking a little bit of something. As a whole, once again, it's absolutely up there with this one. Plot-wise as well, I don't dislike the zombies, but I don't love them either. I feel like they are a lot further away from what... Because, like, the fantasy elements in the first one felt very grounded and, like, genuinely creepy. The ones in this one are just really out there. But at the same time, I really appreciate... At first I was like, oh, that's really out there, why are we doing zombies now? But what I really appreciated is them using the eyes from the first book for the eyes of the zombies. That's really good way of connecting the first book's conflict with the second book's. I thought that was really clever. And it brought me right back into the plot. Because I was, like, kind of like, okay, what's going on? And I was like, oh my goodness, this is brilliant. I like the nurse. She's creepy. I think she's great. Once again, these two... genuinely kind of unsettling sometimes, and I love that. So as someone who now loves horror, I can thank these for that, honestly. But yeah, Trouble with Perfect isn't perfect, but it's absolutely brilliant once again. And now it's time for the final book in the series, and I'm gonna be a little bit silly here and admit that I've only read this one once. I've read the other two about 4 times, I've read this one once. And it's just because I find that it kind of dragged a bit. Not a lot, just a tad. I don't hate it at all. There's no way in hell I would ever hate these. But there's just stuff here that I find a bit more out there than it needs to be. It's crazy. It's absurd. Jumping from this book to this book, they don't feel like the same series. Because we go from silly guys take over a town and try and make them think the town is perfect to zombie apocalypse. And it's cool. It's brilliant. It's absolutely bonkers. And I don't know why. The invisibility stuff, I swear this book had invisibility in it. no clue. Not a singular clue where that came from. This book felt a lot more out there, and I get that they're like marvelous genius inventors, so I can understand where it came from, but after the stuff from the previous books, it just felt, I don't know why it felt so far-fetched, because replacing people's eyes feels a lot more far-fetched, but somehow this one felt way out there. Like, giant, I think what put me off is that as someone who absolutely adores small town settings, this book was perfect for me. It's like the everyone knows everyone kind of setting. And now there's just castle in the woods. And I was like, oh, castle in the woods. Right. Also, this one's water damaged, which is really upsetting. I need to get a new copy. Blows my mind. Like I said, I don't dislike this one at all. I just feel like it doesn't hit for me as hard as the other two do. I feel like there's a lot of stuff. There's more stuff in this one that I dislike compared to these ones, but I still don't dislike them. I still don't dislike this one, sorry. I like Arnold. I like Priscilla. I think they're really good villains, but I would have loved to see them. I would love to see more of Tom. I feel like I didn't get enough Tom in all of the series, because he's such an interesting character, and he's from such a toxic household, like his whole life, and I never get to see that impact on him as a person. And you time skip to the end of the book and he's just fine, which I think is odd, because you would think he would be a little bit more cripplingly depressed after the terrible stuff he's been through. I also feel like I love the zombie stuff, but for an 11 audience, this was dark. I remember reading this and being like, is this allowed? Like, isn't there a bit where they describe, like, the dead dog dragging itself across the floor? Or, like, limping or something, and it's gross? It's cool. It's awesome. I loved it. But it's so gross. I loved the big fight at the end. The big fight at the end was the coolest. It didn't hit as hard as the big fight in the first book, but it did go it was really cool. I still love it. I feel like I'm being really mean about it, but I still love this book. I love Tom. I love the fact that Tom has a bird. That makes me happy. I wanted more interactions with Boy and Tom. I feel like they deserve to, like, know each other a little more, because I feel like they only interacted, like, 4 times ever. And one of the times he's, like, about to murder him. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like I needed more Boy and Tom content. Maybe that's just because he's my favorite character, but whatever. I can't really say that much about this one. I need to reread it. I might make a separate video where I go back over this one after I reread it, because I know I need to. I can't be mean about it and not actually have read it for like 4 years. I appreciate this one. It's a solid ending. The ending I adore. The little note at the end. This one, sobbing. It's really good. It's brilliant. They go together great as a series. I think they're great. I love them to death. I just feel like there are parts that could have been improved upon that I noticed, and that I can't chalk up to me just being old and, like, not being too old for it, because I noticed them as a kid. This is in no way, once again, I feel bad. I feel like I'm, like, being really mean. Once again, these are my favorite books ever. I adore them to death. I'm not hating. I'm just criticizing in a mean way, because I don't know how to express my emotions very well, sorry. Overall, my main criticisms are, shockingly enough, the character. I mean, the characters, not character. I love them all. But at the same time, I feel like we didn't get enough of them. The only character that we ever really see is Violet. Boy is either kidnapped off somewhere, at home, or being angry, or in a life and death situation. And it's the same with all of them, I feel. I really wish that these could have been a little longer. I'm sure there were, like, restrictions, and I get that totally. But I feel like they could have been a little longer with just some more scenes of the characters, because I never felt like I really got to know them. And like 99% of what I get out of the characters is like stuff that I've made up myself. And if that was the point, then you did brilliant. If that wasn't, I just feel like there could have been some of my favorite scenes in the books are ones at the very start where Violet and Boy are like cycling on their bikes and racing each other home. I think those are all like the ones where they're just at school and messing around. I love stuff like that. And I feel like interspersed with all of the really dark adventure that they've got going on, I just need some more scenes where the characters can just talk with each other for a while, because I feel like I never really got to know any of them in like a strong enough way other than Violet. And even Violet doesn't really have a lot of personality. She does, but she doesn't act on it. I feel like she's just really smart. That's like her whole bit. I feel like the characters should have been older. Aren't they like 10 to 11? And I think they're like, not 11, 10 to like 13 over the span of the series. And I feel like they should be older. I don't know, maybe that's just me as an older kid. I just felt like they were very smart for their age. If I was these kids, I would have just gone to sleep and cried. Maybe that's just because I'm not very smart. But you know what I mean. I do love them all. I love them all a lot. But I just feel like we could have had more conversation going on. And just, like, sweet, wholesome moments between them. Because we get not that much of that. Like, we don't even learn about, like, I don't know, I just feel like we could have got more about them. Just a little bit. I feel like they could have been a bit longer. Because you start, and, like, a chapter, you get, like, 2 chapters, and then it's, like, plot. You get nothing, and then there's, like, 1 chapter at the end, where everything goes back to normal. One thing I did really like was them killing off Macula. Mainly because I feel like we needed higher stakes, and that raised the stakes a lot. I think if Macula hadn't have died and the zombie plot went on anyway, it would have felt like the way that the stakes go from like here to like here to like here in the 3rd book. And I think it was good that Macula died at the end of the 2nd one, not because I don't like her. I love Macula, she's great. I loved her a lot. But it sets the tone that this book isn't scared to pull darker stories, which I appreciated. Because the 3rd one was quite a bit more dark, actually, than the first 2. So I thought that was really good. I wish we could have seen more of Boy's reaction to that as well. I mean, I guess we did get a bit, but I feel like there could have been a little more. And with, like, William as well. There was some in the 3rd book, but like I said, I just feel like the character's emotions could have been expanded more, because the only time it ever is Boy in book 2, and that was really great. But yeah, that's kind of all I have to say. I adore these books more than anything else, and I plan to reread them. I'm so endlessly excited for the show to come out. Oh my goodness, I completely forgot about the divided souls, and how they're like my favourite part of the books. And I know that people are like, it seems a little far-fetched for what the series was going for, but quite honestly, I absolutely adored it. And I thought it was such a cool addition to the plot as a whole. I wish we could have seen more of that as well. More of the conflict and more of the... Oh, it's so good. I love the divided soul stuff. I really hope that if the TV show ever gets more than the 1st book adapted, we get to see that. Because, oh, it's so good. Probably my favourite part of the 2nd, too. I mean, I don't remember divided souls were even in the 2nd one. I might have made that up. But if they ever make the 3rd one, I want to see the divided soul stuff. So good. The end scene, so good. I completely forgot to mention the ending. Tom should have died. And okay, there are 2 ways this could have gone. The way Tom's death fake out worked just frustrated me greatly. Because he drinks a vial of spider poison, Black Widow spider poison. How did they get that anyway? Whatever. Book logic. And he doesn't die. He just goes into a coma for a while. He should be dead. He should be very dead. And I feel like either if you wanted so badly to keep the poison, then you would have killed him. But if you wanted to keep him alive, you should have done something else with him. I don't know what. I'm sorry, I'm not a writer. I just feel like it was really far-fetched to have this big, terrible thing that happens to him, and he has this big sacrificial moment, and it's like something that would absolutely kill him in real life, and he's just fine. I mean, he goes into a coma for 6 months, but otherwise he's pretty fine, which blew my mind for some reason. That was the only gripe I had with Tom. In the last book, I feel like his death kind of just came out of nowhere, and then his revival came out of nowhere. But whatever, it's cool. I got over it pretty quickly. Still kind of confused about it, though. Honestly, I just want more. If this review means anything to you, just I want more. I love them so much, and I want to see more of these characters and this world, which is why I'm so excited for the show and to see them all talking in 3D, because I love them so much. So yeah, if you get anything out of this review, just know that there's a random teenager out here who's about to start their GCSEs, who's absolutely obsessed with your children's book series, and who has a lot to say about it, and that I really, really hope that the TV show goes well, and that it's incredible. I'm very excited about it. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and to the people that don't even know what this book series is, I am very, very sorry for you. Yeah, I guess that's kind of all I have to say. Like I said, I'm probably going to make a follow-up about the battle, because I need to reread it, because I felt kind of bad reviewing a book that I hadn't read in about 4 years. So, yeah. Thanks, Helena, for writing my favourite book series ever, and basically inspiring everything I've ever done ever since. Thank you, I appreciate it.